Hey, this is Derica, your host on the Happiness Recipe Show 2.0, where top experts are sharing how they broke through their own fear and resistance and into living their happy life, and how you can do the same. I'm very, very excited to bring back one of our top experts, Aline Dalbiez. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Erica. I'm very excited to be here again for this wonderful summit. And thank you very much for taking the time to put all of this together for everyone to gain inputs for their happiness.
Absolutely, absolutely. This is such a collective. I feel you, all the wonderful experts, and everyone in our community and audience has called this up into action. So thank you, and thank you all for watching. This is such a collective effort, and we feel so honored to be here. Okay, you guys, for those of you who have not met this powerhouse, I'm going to read her bio so you can get to know her a little bit more. And then we're going to dive into those just nugget of gold questions. So, as you guys know, always be prepared, you guys, because there's going to be some magical information dropped here. There you go. Blue pen, white paper, always, you guys. All right, so Aline is from France. She lives on the French Riviera with her beloved partner. She has 2 master's degrees in information technologies and professional coaching. The combination of her scientific background and personal development background led her to work as a transformational coach, using science models to better tap into our human potential, both individually and collectively. She created the company Aline, which motto says, "If everyone is well, the world is better." So beautiful. She wrote the book On the Power of Words and became an international speaker and best-selling author. In 2018, she co-wrote the book The Road to Happiness: Women's Wisdom on Love, Life, and Margaritas, for which she received a Quilly Award by the National Academy of Best-Selling Authors of the United States. She helps us gain clarity over what we truly want so we can feel empowered and blissful. Woohoo! Yes, and that's why she's back. Beautiful. All right, hun, so let's jump into the meat of the show. Can you tell us your story and what led you to do what it is you're doing today?
Well, thank you very much, Derica, for this introduction. And the first thing I can say is that probably like most people on this planet, I can feel that life is a journey of, I think in English you say a journey of ebbs and flow, something like this.
Yeah, sounds good.
Like with ups and downs, you know,
Oh,
depending
yeah.
on when and how and where. And we have many choices to make along the way. And actually, it's a lot about which choice we make on a daily basis. And so at some point, when I was a teenager, I discussed with a friend of my parents about a choice I had to make. I wasn't sure if I should go this way or that way. And, you know, I was young, not yet knowing what was important for me truly for the rest of my life, you know. So I was trying to figure out a few clues to make my choice. And he listened to me very carefully. And then after a while, he told me, you know, you should just listen and go where your heart sings. Just go where your heart sings. And this is a very important phrase that I wanted to share here, because when I look back, at least until there, at my journey, at my life journey, all the choices that made me who I am today and that contributed to my construction of happiness in my life today, those choices were the ones I made out of this criteria. like where my heart was singing. It was not about a rational choice. It was not about the best or the most theoretically advantageous choice. It was just about where does my heart sing. And so it made me, for example, choose a particular university. In France, we have like high level schools, engineering schools, which are probably the equivalent of famous universities in the US. Mm-hmm. And so when you go through the competitive exams and so on, then you have to choose your school. And so was I supposed to choose the school that was the most famous? Some people could think so, and some of my teachers told me to do so, but I didn't. I listened to my heart, and something was singing for a particular school, and this was one of the best choices I made on my life journey. And so every time like this, I could make choices listening to my heart. And then I did the same to leave big cities like Lyon or Paris and go to the south of France, live on the French Riviera, near the Mediterranean Sea. I mean, I live with the view of the sea and the mountains, and I love living here. And it was completely out of rational choices. I had like big job opportunities waiting for me in Paris, but this was going together with so many things that were not feeling good to me. Mm. Whereas going down to the south of France, living here on the French Riviera, was making my heart sing. I didn't know completely why at the beginning, but then I met the man of my dreams and I created so many things here. I had great job opportunities, and then I created my own company. So I did the same again when I went for my for a specific training in professional coaching to increase my specific skills in accompanying change and being a consultant in big corporations, big organizations, working with top management leaders, this was part of what I wanted to do, and I could do it out of those choices to dare the unknown, to dare to do what others would not do. Yeah. Because no, you should not do this because it doesn't make sense, no, it doesn't. It doesn't make any sense, but this is just following your true wish. And this is how, one step after the other, I designed my own pathway of both building a life and living it as happy as I could along the way.
That's such a beautiful story. It's beautiful, it's inspiring. We hear, I just know a lot of us are relating to what you're saying right now because we're faced with choices every single day, right? And a lot of that, our reason, our logic comes in, that analytical side, the what everyone else feels side comes in. And I think, unfortunately, a lot of us pick the other side because it's just the route to go. It makes most sense financially, whatever. But we miss out on making those heart choices. And those are usually the ones that unfold the juiciest and the best, And so I love that early on, bless your heart and those in your life that gave you this beautiful message, so early on. So thank you for sharing that.
Well, by the way, this is never too late. This is never too late because sometimes in particular domains, we make choices out of what we think is the best. Yeah. But later on, we can change our mind and follow our heart, maybe on tiny little things at the beginning, and then bigger things along the way. It always works. Never too late.
I love that you said that. Of course you would say that. That's so brilliant because it is never too late. You know, we could be 90, 80, 70, like all in between. Because today is what's real. Today is right now. This is what we have, and we get to make another choice right now, today, here, you know? So I love that you said that. Now, thinking about, Aline, if you were to go back to some of those moments in your life where you were faced with some of your biggest fears, some of your biggest resistance, did you have any moments in your life like that that you could share with us that you remember coming up against and something that you did to help break through that?
Well, there are so many. There are so many. And this is probably an important point to share because I can honestly say that I am very happy today.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean 100% of the time.
No.
It doesn't mean the most I could ever be happy, because every day I discover that I can even be happier than yesterday.
Yeah.
And so this is truly a journey. And maybe the first thing I want to highlight here is that back then, at the very beginning, the very word happiness had no meaning to me. When I heard about happiness, you know, sometimes I could hear about a school of happiness or a club of happiness or people working on happiness or having newsletters of happiness or even a happiness summit, you know, like 10, 20 years ago. I could hear these kind of things already, and it didn't mean anything to me. I was, well, it was as if it was an empty something, you know, like just a word with no meaning attached to it. And now the biggest difference is that now I understand the word by experience and through my own experience. Some things do not make me happy at all. And this is important to identify, because this is part of the recipe. If you want to know what ingredient to put in your recipe, it's very helpful to know which ingredient not to put in your recipe, because that way you know you won't make that mistake, at least not again.
Yep.
And so it's a very personal something as well. That's why I want to highlight the word experience. This is about your own experience. It's very personal. Something that makes someone happy may be not appropriate to someone else. So this is very, very specific and personal and subjective.
Yeah.
So we have to dare to look at things with a very centered way. Not to say centric way, because it's not about your ego, it's about your heart, you know, about who you truly are when you feel good, not about your ego when you are stressed or feeling not enough, or, you know. And so you mentioned some fears. A big one was the fear to not be enough, the fear of not being able, or not being enough, not doing enough, not knowing enough. Oh, that was a big one.
Yep.
And another one was the fear that my turn would never come.
Oh, wow.
And this one was very deeply like connected to my own personal journey from various situations that I experienced when I was young. I started to observe and to think that my turn would never come, because I was trained this way. And so I had to work on changing that particular pattern, and so many others as well. And the very first step to do that is to be willing to do it, to get the desire to change the pattern, to recognize that, well, come on, I had a difficulty to think that my turn would come, you know, and at some point on the journey, I was facing this. I could not believe it. And so I had to start thinking, well, I want to change this. I want to believe that my turn can come and that my turn will come. And so you watching this, be ready because your turn is gonna come. And so your happiness is completely on its way. And for you to be happy, to be happier, to be even more happy than ever before, this is on its way. So be prepared, be ready, because it comes. In time, it all comes, all the pieces get together. And so we have to be aware as well of another fear that may emerge, which is the fear of change when we are used to pain or to lack or to whatever negative. And this has been a big one on my journey as well, because I experienced some health difficulties and a lot of pain and feeling bad and so on. And over the years, I got used to it. I got used to not being able to eat in a restaurant or to have so many things in mind when I had to go out with friends or to travel. And I got used to it. It became my comfort zone.
Right.
This was definitely not comfortable from a comfortable viewpoint, but this was my comfort zone because I was used to it.
Yeah.
And so at some point I had to open myself to something new and to reopen myself to a new way of discomfort, which was not anymore about being in pain, but this was another kind of discomfort of something completely new, which became a new comfort and a lot more of happiness and everything feeling better. But this was interesting as well.
That's so good. I want to take a moment with that because I know so many of us are having those aha moments right now where, you know, I can think about for myself being at a job or even in a relationship, and I knew it wasn't good. There's this deep knowing that there's so much stress here, there's so much pain here, fighting here, you know, just not aligning. And yet, because we know it so well, we know those arguments, we know those discomforts, we know those routines of how that pain's going to feel and how it's going to come and go, that's so comfortable that we do it for so long, and really too long. So I love that you brought that up, because right now, you guys watching, this is going to be all about taking notes. Really taking notes and sitting with some of those comforts, reflecting and thinking about, you know, what do you got comfortable going on in your life right now? And is it really comfortable? You know, you just used to it? Or are you about to make a decision? So kind of write those areas down. I've been there so many times. So thank you so much for bringing that up. I love that you shared that fear with us. It's huge.
Yeah. You're welcome. Thank you very much for bringing the opportunity.
Next question. So I love this. I'm just so into everything you're saying. So I love how you brought up what your fears were and actually what you did to break through those. And that first one, you guys, if you remember what she said, was be willing. Be willing to change it. So you're faced with some of those things. I'm not enough. I don't know enough. Oh, that was such a big one for me too. I felt like I didn't know enough. I wasn't experienced enough. So while sitting with that, number one is getting yourself willing, is what you're saying. Getting yourself to a point where you're, okay, I've made a decision that I'm going to change this.
And by the way, another one is the fear of being wrong. Yes. And so we mentioned at the very beginning the importance of making choices.
Yeah.
We make choices all the time, even when we don't know we are making choices. Even not making a decision is making a choice in itself. And so when you asked me what I did to break through some barriers about this one, I can tell a little story about following the signs.
Yeah.
And I love this story because you can't be wrong, actually. That's kind of very important to understand this. And when I was working full time and some things happened and a door got closed in front of me for what I wanted to do in that particular job. And I thought, well, that's not okay for me. So if I felt like I had nothing else to lose. You know, I was very disappointed about not getting that particular role I was looking for. And so I thought, well, if I could do what I truly want to do, what would it be? You know, without any limit, at least just thinking about it first. And so that's where I started to look for opportunities for change management job in my area. And I think through my research, I found various schools which were offering training courses to become a professional coach. And so that's where I thought, well, that could be very interesting. And it had a kind of a big cost as well. For the one I could identify as a very interesting one, it was a 1 year, very complete training course, and in parallel of my job that I would have to do. And so I realized that there are several ways to get a raise in salary. This is something I discovered by experience. You know, when you don't get that raise that you would like to get, another way to get it is actually to incorporate a training course in your advantages from your job. I mean, if the company which is hiring you can pay for the training, this is the same than giving you more money and you paying for the training. So I thought, well, okay, that can be a good move. And so I prepared everything, the documents and the whole structure of how it could be done. This was like normal procedure, you know, just taking some time and papers. And I think it was like 1 week before the training was supposed to start. I even had the train tickets. I had everything booked. You know, I was on my way to go for the kickoff of the training. And I got an email from my company saying, well, this will not be possible because the weekend events all along the year of training were including Sundays. And I was not supposed to work on Sundays. So they were supposed to pay me extra, whatever. They were not okay for it. So I remember that particular day, I felt, oh my God, what am I gonna do?
Yeah.
it was not making me happy at all, you know. And so I went back home for lunchtime and trying to get quiet and see more clearly. And on my way, you know, I was thinking, well, I can surely find a solution.
Yeah.
I don't know why, I don't know how, I don't know what solution, but something is supposed to be possible because I could feel deep inside that my way was there. And so on my way back to work, I suddenly saw a sign, a very, very big sign. And it was, you know, entering a kind of forest area where all the companies are in this region. And so the big sign was saying, faith is sacred. And I thought, oh my God, this is the sign, I have to follow my faith and to know that I am able to do this. So I took some time the whole afternoon to give calls to understand what exactly were the difficulties for my company. And so about the Sundays and the convention, the contracts, etc. So we designed a whole new thing that could allow me to sign one part with the company without the Sundays, and then another part on my own, including the Sundays. And so everything finally worked out fine. And we had the solution, and before the end of the day, this was done. And the important part of this story is that sometime later, I went back the same way every day, but I could see that particular sign again. And the real message in there was saying the forest is sacred. It wasn't speaking about faith at all. So you can't be wrong. That's the message of that story. You can't be wrong. If you hear a little song in your heart about something, you can't be wrong. So take your time, make your tests, to see how you feel with what you can make as choices, but give it a try.
Yes, there's so many nuggets in that, because sometimes we make decisions and they don't work out, right? A door closes. I love how you start that. A door closes, and so in the moment it could feel like, oh, the whole world is crashing down. What did I do? I made the wrong decision, or life is unfair. All sorts of things can happen in the moment. It could. But I love how that sign came to you. And I believe every single one of us gets some sort of sign if we look like, okay, that's not what I expected, but this has to be good. So this just has to be good. We can't make a wrong decision. I love your words. We can't make a wrong decision. And as we open to that, we can see either a new door is right about to open, or that same door morphs and you get a very different opportunity, like you did, which was just a switch in a payment system and how it was going to flow, which I'm sure served you a lot better. So initially, sometimes we can't see, but just knowing that we can't make a wrong decision and it's going to unfold as it's supposed to. So faith is huge. The forest inside ourselves,
It is. And so you can't be wrong interpreting the signs as well, because you will interpret the signs the way you need them and the way they are appropriate for you at that particular time.
That is so good.
And thanks to that training course, I then could change job and have other incredible opportunities, even in the same company. But then I was much more in line with who I am and what I wanted to do. And so I can confirm that the whole journey after that particular switch in the pathway was wonderful. And still is.
Still is. It's still, I feel like these are just breadcrumbs. It's like one bread, it just keeps leading to this beautiful journey. And without even one of those breadcrumbs any way in the journey, it would look totally different, right? So yes, absolutely, that one thing is serving you. And I invite you all to think about these little pivot points in our life and how they're still serving you in some way today. That's beautiful. Okay, let's go on to, we love your stories. How you tell stories, it's so captivating, it's so beautiful. Can you share another one with us about a client testimonial, a story where maybe someone was in that very unhappy place and you as their guide or being able to witness them go into, their happiness and where they're living today?
Sure. I can think about one that happened recently and that can help me highlight another important ingredient. Okay. So she's a young woman with a child, and she's separated from the father of the child. And so she was kind of she was feeling that something was wrong about her, how to relate to him moving forward. Or she told me she had done her part about forgiving him, about, you know, getting back in peace about the situation, and then maybe she was more open to meeting someone new. But she could feel that something was holding her back, and there was a block that she couldn't explain, and she was feeling not good or even bad. And even in front of some dads of other children, you know, in front of this masculine presence, there was something not comfortable for her. And so what I want to highlight here is the importance of putting words on things, specific words on what is holding you back, or how you personally would describe it.
Yeah.
Because discussing directly with her, I could ask a few questions and try to see. She was using a very particular technique of mine to transmute a situation from the negative description to something that realigns the energy and the thinking patterns and so on. But she wasn't sure how to apply it to that particular situation. And this is sometimes the case when we are stuck, you know, it's hard to find the solution by ourselves. So in the very specific situation, at some point she told me, well, what does not make my heart sing at all is the remotely part. In her difficulty about the relationship, there was a particular aspect of remotely. Because of the situation, you know, traveling is less easy than before and so on. And so there was a remote aspect in her situation. And so it was interesting because highlighting this allowed her to start to click, you know. She thought, well, why that particular aspect, you know, is the core of the difficulty. And then she was telling me that she wanted to date someone else, but she felt blocked because kind of thinking that it could be better with this guy, so the father of her child, and because he was there, she could feel that he was there. And when listening to her, it was as if she was describing him as being there energetically or emotionally or in her mind, in her heart. I don't know, but he was obviously not there because, you know, living at a distance. And so she was describing it as having him being present. And so she couldn't create a relationship with someone else because of his presence.
Yeah.
And so when she told me that the core of the problem was that remote aspect, then she was stuck in a paradox, because emotionally she was maintaining him with her, but she was feeling bad or complaining about the remoteness. And then she told me that she was on the verge of moving to another country. So the remote aspect was even stronger emotionally in her current decisions at the time. And so putting clarity over this with specific words, it could enlighten her heart again. And so she could see by herself that she could break free from this lock, you know, from this locked situation. And so she felt very much more free after the discussion, releasing this. And so putting words on what is holding you back or how you feel is very, very, very important.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. That's such a big moment. And when as you were speaking, I was thinking about the term what we resist persist. And so I could see this tension of like what she's not wanting is happening to her. You know, so she's living in that paradox of fearing him being so far away, so trying to hold him here was keeping her captive and like being able to be free and move on. I'm curious. So as she realized what what she's doing to herself, we're all doing this to ourselves. As she realized that, did she move on? What was did she find someone else? Well, so she feels really good, but has she told you yet? Like, did she get back with the child's father? Did she move on? She's single. What is her life like?
Well, I didn't get back to her yet to have fresh news, but what she could remember about, or what she could take away of that particular discussion was truly to clarify what she wanted, instead of always thinking about him or her child, because everything she was describing, even what do you want, when I asked her, what do you want? She wanted things for her child or for him, but not for her. I told her, well, what do you want? Put yourself back in the shoes of your life. Be the star of your own life. No one else can be the star. The star, the movie star of the movie of your life. This is just you. All other people are just secondary characters. You are the main character. So who is the main character of your movie? You are the director, you are the main character, you are the one who produces the whole thing. You are everything that is the most important of the whole story.
Yeah. And so beautiful that you are. I think as women, we're so Mother Nature, we're so tuned into nurturing and caring for so many. But outside of us, I think it's a nature of us, and then we bring on the children and we become actually mothers. And I'm just so glad that she chose you as a coach to help bring that light back into herself and remember that mama has to fill her cup before pouring from it. So that was so beautiful. I can appreciate that as a mother myself. So thank you for sharing that. I love that story. I know all of us are like, yes, like girl power. That is so beautiful.
Yes, and speaking about putting words on things, something that happened for me along the way is that now the word happiness has a meaning. So both from my own experience and also because recently I heard the same sentence several times from various people, and it was describing happiness as a state of mind or a state of consciousness in which your thoughts are pleasant most of the time. And this is a very important thing because it gives us back the responsibility. Because sometimes a thought can come to our mind without us expecting it. But then we have the choice to keep it and nurture it and maintain it in our mind or not. So this is getting us back to the choice and the power of choice. Do we want to be happy or not? And every time we are having a thought, is this thought, is it contributing to our feeling of happiness or not? And this is a very important choice we have to make, and no one else can do it for us, because only you or only each of us knows what makes us happy or not, what kind of thought makes us happy or not.
Yes. Powerful. Powerful. Sitting with that with the moment. Sometimes we're trained to think happiness is outside of us, happiness is a thing, happiness is what someone else does. And it's really our perception to the things that are happening outside. It's our thoughts that we're holding about ourselves, the world around us, that is going to generate the feeling. So thank you for bringing like a flashlight to that very important piece. It's a decision. Wow.
Do we have time for another example?
let's get into the, because we're over the 45 minutes, you guys, and I also want to hear your happy hack too. So let's just share the happy hack, and then if it's a short story, we'll go into it right after that before the free gift. So what's one happy hack that you do at this point in your life? You know, you're human too, having a human experience. Sometimes you feel down or out of alignment of sorts. What's something that you do that pulls you back into your happy? Or think?
I can say maybe two things. One is look for the song where your heart sings again. This is truly the core of everything. For example, a few days ago, I was feeling a bit down, and then I thought, well, I thought about various things I was having to do, and you know, there are so many projects, so many things, and there was that particular thing that had been waiting, that was pending for months, which is to prepare the photo album with my partner Jean-Luc. We do this every year, a recap, you know, of the year in a photo album. We love to watch back at them afterwards. And so we didn't have a chance to prepare the photo album of last year yet. So we are more than 3 months in the following year. So we are a bit late.
Yeah.
And last week I thought, well, I started to think about this in particular, and I could feel, it gave me a spring, you know, something like feeling amused of thinking about doing it. So I thought, well, that should be a priority now. And so I went to Jean-Luc and I told him, well, we have to start it. At least we have to start it. And, you know, take some time. This particular evening, we don't do everything else. We leave everything else aside and we start the photo album. He said, well, yes, okay, let's do that. He wasn't sure to be motivated after the rest of the day, but then I could feel the you know, the positive feeling inside. And this is something very important that I could experience as well with so many of my clients. I use a particular technique, or I make them use a particular technique to calculate their priorities with specific criteria where they can't preview, they can't imagine in advance the result. So they just have to follow the calculation and put the scores, and then they get the result. And so sometimes they get very surprised by the result, thinking, well, for example, a young man was surprised because his most important thing was to gain more confidence at work and get back on track. He was willing to feel better with his wife and his baby, and so many other important things. And one of his objectives was to get back his humorous trait of character. But this was not a priority for him, you know, it was a nice to have. But actually, the calculation that is designed to increase the satisfaction for a minimum effort, then it highlighted that particular one objective as the top priority. And so he contacted me because he wasn't sure. Did I do something wrong? He told me, well, you can't be wrong. And so I explained to him that this was something that he used to be. So it was very easy for him to get back to it. No effort, no strong effort, you know. And then being back in humor and happy, funny style of character, it was shining over everything else in his life. Yes. So all other objectives started to be more achievable and more easily thanks to that particular first one. So the core is look for the song, you know, and for the little something that will help you feel better, feel more powerful, feel more confident, the baby step that will move you forward.
Yes. Look for that piece, that thing, that task that's overdue or whatever it is in our life that would make our heart sing, that would make us feel, when you think about it and you just kind of light up inside, like, okay, I'd much rather do that thing right now. Do that thing. And it could even be it could be for like 5 minutes, right? It doesn't even have to be a whole evening or whatever. I mean, if this is like making a certain sandwich that you love, or, a paragraph in a book, like it could be probably tiny, any little thing. But I love how you say get specific and know what makes your heart sing. That's very important. Have that list somewhere, you guys, like a cheat sheet. Have a happiness cheat sheet somewhere that you can pull off of. That's beautiful. We did, before we go into what you give away, I forgot to ask you, and I'm feeling an impulse now. Can you speak to that person? Because I know you can. Can you speak to that person right now that has that not enough feeling? Say, they're here. I know you're here because you're ready for this. You're wanting to be authentically and consistently happy. You are eager for that recipe. So, Aline, if you could speak to that person that's like, I love all this. I love everything she's saying, but I still hear that I don't know enough. I'm not good enough. And it's right there. Can you speak into them? What would you tell them right now?
Well, so you said like someone stuck in that not enough feeling.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're that's like a barrier. That one place that you were at when you feel like I just don't know enough, I'm not good enough. And it's like, remember being in that point in your life when it was right there. It was like coming up, it was right there, and just over that peak is where you found your happiness. Speak to that person that's like right there. They want this. It feels so right. And we're just breaking through that. What would be some words you would tell them right now?
I would say stop loving it and allow yourself to get away, to get out of this particular turning around and loving that not enoughness, and start thinking about another possibility. Start thinking about another opportunity for you to live truly happy, to be enough and to know it, and even more than enough, to know that you are a wonderful person, because you are the only star of your own life. There is no one else that can be the star of your life. So if you are alive, we all need you to live your life, because no one else can do it for you. And then you have a possibility, which is to ask for help. And it may be to ask for help, like calling someone like Derica. I know you are doing some wonderful work in personal sessions as well. And it can also be just noting down. Sometimes I do that, and I love to, when I think about it, to note down, I need help. And then you have to be very specific. What for? What do you want? And this is not a powerless way of saying it. You don't need help to become a millionaire, or you don't need help to live in a particular area. No. That's a powerless way of looking at life. You need to be specific. What do you want to do as your next step to build that life that you want to live? And then you can ask for help very specifically. So if you don't feel enough to get that particular job, then you need help to know exactly what to do in order to feel like the perfect person for that particular job. It becomes more concrete and more empowered. It's an empowered way of asking for help. And then if you go give a call to Derica, you can ask her, well, I want your help, Derica, because I want to achieve this particular thing. I want to feel I am able to take that particular decision. to make it, or to make the right choices for me, to be the leader of my own life, to be the one who succeeds, to be the one who feels good, to be the one who feels happy, to feel enough.
I'm loving it. Yes. That was so on point. That landed. I feel it. You guys feel it. That was the complete recipe right there. Beautiful. Well said. Perfect. We are all high in our vibes. I'm loving it. Now this is a perfect segue to go in. Actually, what you are giving all of us. Tell us more about that.
Yes, this was a few years ago. I was invited for a major event in a private club, and they asked me to share a little part of my story to highlight some very interesting aspects, and it perfectly fits in there because I shared very specific details about how you can truly believe in the impossible. And to highlight that it's not about who you are that makes you deserving happiness or not. It's really about how you will make it happen, or let it happen, how you will allow yourself to live the journey. And so that particular speech that I made was recorded. And so it's a private content for that private club, but I have the opportunity to share it, and I want to gift it to you who are watching this. And so I do encourage you to watch that particular, it's a 30-minute speech, and it will help you see how everything and anything is possible. Because as you can see me, maybe you think I'm looking good, looking happy, and you can't imagine probably where I was years ago.
Yeah.
And so I describe it more in details in that particular speech, and you can really understand that it's not about where you are right now. It's not about where you started. It's truly about what you make out of it and who you decide to become. And so I allow you to start to identify what will be your most incredible trophy, like the trophy you will be so proud of, the one thing that probably feels so impossible to you right now, but that would make you so incredibly happy. That one is the one that can make the whole thing work, in your recipe.
Oh, beautiful. Perfect. You guys, link below this video. Get it downloaded. The next 30 minutes that you have, please do immerse yourself into that lovely, powerful video. May you never be the same after this video and that video. Thank you so much for being here with us today, you guys. Thank you so much, Aline, for your beautiful time here. Nuggets of gold and high energy and transformational words as always. Thank you, thank you. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you very much, and thank you, Dereka, again for creating this summit and allowing all of this to happen. I love this kind of discussion with you because you make it happen, the information comes out, and that's very powerful even for myself. So thank you very much. Thank you watching this, because you are part of the creation, the co-creation of this event as well. And wishing you to take time to watch the other sessions and to enjoy yourself, to enjoy your life, because you deserve it.
Oh, yes, you do. Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.